Well, my name is John Hoye, and I played the character of one of the German guards that takes, I can't remember the actress's name, to Herr Flick, who was in the prison cell there. And, I meet her and I open the gate and I take her in and then I introduce them both. And then I go, I remember rightly, I come back and take them back out again. I've been trying to dig the episode out, but I can't find it. But that's basically it. So yeah, I play the German guard that takes them to the dungeon and then introduces them. Well, I got cast. I mean, John B. Hobbs was the director of the time, and he, directed lots of sitcoms for the BBC. 2 years earlier, in something like 1989, I was cast in a thing called Three Up, Two Down, which was another sitcom. John B. Hobbs was directing it. It was the main actress was Wendy Craig, and I think it was written by Wendy Craig's husband and son. And John cast me as I played the part of a road construction worker, and there was two of us, and it was about a hole in the ground basically, and was a scene outside and a scene inside the house. So that was my first thing with John Hobbs. Then in that same year, he also cast me in a thing called Three Up, Two Down with Ray Burdiss and what was his name? Three Up, Two Down. Michael Elphick and Lisa Anthony. And in that, I played a photographer's assistant because Lisette was going to have a photograph taken for a magazine because she wanted to be a model, and I was the camera assistant there, doing all the camera assistant-y type things that you do. So in that year, 1989, John cast me in those two things. So then, Allo'Allo, he just basically called me and said, "I've got this part for you. Do you want to do it?" "Yes, please." So that's how I got the part of in that particular episode of Allo'Allo. Yeah, so I mean, I was only in rehearsals for one day as far as I can remember, so I didn't meet the entire cast. I remember meeting Arthur Bostrom. He was because there was a rehearsal studio up at North Acton, and they basically in this big room they lay out roughly the set of Allo'Allo, and so you go up there and do a week's worth of rehearsal. I met Arthur Bostrom. I was sitting with him quite a lot. He was quite funny. He was quite nice and chatty. The two, Vicky and Sue, was there, but they didn't see them that much. And of course, the main actor, Gordon Kay. I didn't speak much to Gordon. He was quite busy. The one thing I do remember about it was I think we were recording this early in the new year, and I think before Christmas, if you remember, there was this big storm, and Gordon Kay, a tree or something fell on his car, and it went through the windscreen and hit him on the head. By the time we recorded this, he had obviously recovered from it all, but I do remember, and I can still see it now, I still remember seeing him with the scar on his head, and which I don't know why that stuck with me. But so I didn't speak much with Gordon because he was busy and he wasn't there all the time. So it was mostly, Arthur, and he was great. And I was just there for the day, and that was all because we were just recording a couple of small scenes and just walking through the scenes and rehearsing the scenes. But it was good fun. It was good fun. The scene I was in was just in in the studio basically, because it was the prison cell, and so the whole thing was in the studio. So I remember on the Friday, I think it was, before we recorded it on the Saturday, what usually happens is you get once you've rehearsed it all, you get all the technical people come in, the cameraman and the makeup people and the continuity or whatever, and they walk around the whole thing, so they know where to position all the cameras and things like that on the day. So we did that, and then on the Saturday we did exactly the same thing but in the studio. And then it came to my part well, I mean, you know, after we rehearsed it, John Hobbs gave us all notes as we were sitting there, and then we didn't see him because he went up into the control room, and then we recorded the show, and as I just said, my particular scene was just in the studio. So yeah, so that was quite nice. It was nice and controlled sort of place. Yeah, and it went smoothly, and it was great. Yeah, no problems. There's so many good scenes and catchphrases and things like that in Allo'Allo. It's hard to pinpoint one. I mean, I do like Arthur. You know, he's. I mean, I know they all do sort of a cod French and German and so on, but I particularly like his. Just the way he does it, you know, it was funny. But and the Italian, I can't remember the Italian. I also quite like him. But I suppose some of the favourite scenes is when you get the mother-in-law, and she's in bed upstairs in the attic, and you know they come in and the town mayor or whatever, I think it's the town mayor, is in, you know, is in the bed or underneath the bed, and you know, and she's always making trouble for you know, Gordon, you know. So I suppose it's just there's so many different bits. It's hard to pinpoint one really. But yeah, and the girls, I like the girls, the way they sort of interact, Vicky and Sue. That's always pretty good. But yeah, no, nothing comes out of me, you know, in particular. Just a whole lot. Yeah. My favourite character, I suppose, is Arthur Bostrom, who plays the policeman, because he's always so sort of vacant and sort of and not with it, whereas you know the others are always sort of on the ball. Things are happening and so on, and he's always sort of quite vacant. I suppose sometimes some of the, you know, the generals and the Germans are a bit, but they're a bit more shrewd. But Arthur Bostrom, he just gets on with it, and he doesn't really know what's going on at all. And so I quite like that. I think that's probably one of my favorite characters in it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's slightly different now with repeat fees and royalties, but for Allo'Allo and those other sitcoms and various other things I've done, I do get repeat fees. You know, every now and again, they don't, not every time it's repeated, I get them because it's quite small amounts, but they, you know, they wait until there's a certain amount of them, then I'll get an invoice through the post or you know, a letter through the post saying how many times it's been shown and where it's been shown and how much I get for that particular airing of the episode. So sometimes I can get a piece of paper from the BBC that lists, you know, Azerbaijan, Australia, New Zealand, you know, Lithuania, you know, and all these sorts of places, you know, 20p for Lithuania or something, you know. And so yeah, and as I say, that it all mounts up, and then they pay you a sort of a lump sum, however many times it's been shown. So it's not the money, but it's very nice to receive that and think, you know, this is the BBC, this is Allo'Allo, been shown all around the world, even today, and I'm still getting paid for it, which is great. But you know, I can't book a holiday on it, put it that way. You know, it is a nice sort of feeling. Yeah. Because on the set, on the day, it was quite frantic, quite busy, lots of things going on. So you're quite nervous. And it's always quite difficult to play quite a small part, because you don't necessarily, like with bigger parts, you've got the character, you can build the character, and so on and so forth. But if you're really going to come on, say a few lines and then go, it's very difficult. And because you tend to dwell on those few bits, and you tend to sort of, you know, because I was quite young at the time as well, you tend to just be worrying about it or thinking about it all the time. So there wasn't much time to pick up on what was going on, other than the fact that it was all moving quickly. It was all sort of quite amazing, you know, the audience are coming in. But what I do remember was the warm-up artists beforehand. You know, I remember sort of standing at the side there and just watching the warm-up artists, because I didn't really think didn't really think they had warm-up artists, but they obviously do, and I've seen them before. But I just remember, I can't remember who the warm-up artist was. It could have been one of their top comedians now, possibly. But yeah, I remember watching him, getting the audience going, getting ready, getting, you know, hyped up for the thing. And then, you know, then I was gone and going to the dressing room because there's just too much going on to be around if you're not needed. So then when I was needed, they called me and went on, done my piece, came off, and that was it. And then afterwards we had a drink, which was great. Yeah. Yeah, I vaguely remember meeting Jeremy Lloyd and David Croft. I very briefly, I mean, I was in a group of people and they were talking to us generally, and I think it was at the in the afternoon of the actual recording, and I just think they weren't giving any advice or anything like that. I think they just came along just to say, well, you know, good luck type thing. You know, I'm sure it'd be a great performance. And so yeah, as I said, it was just generally talking to the group of us, which was really nice because you know, they're great writers, you know. So yeah, but that's all. I didn't have any sort of major conversations with them or anything like that because they were there and then they were gone. You know, I didn't think I'd see them at all, but you know, because I mean, obviously, this sort of thing they're doing all the time. How many episodes they've written, how many sitcoms they've written. So for them to turn up all the time or some of the time is pretty good, really. Yeah.